What what's up? What's up, everybody? Chris Ransom of Draft Utopia. This is the first of three shows I'm going to be doing leading up to the NFL draft next week. I don't know what day I'll leak the 7-round mock, but I just got done with the third round. I'm going to do and I'll do an NBA show for Draft Utopia tomorrow. But if you want the spoilers for the NBA picks, go back and watch Tuesday's episode of Sports Head Radio on the Draft Utopia YouTube channel. Also, check out Sports Head Radio on SoundCloud. That is where my gracious co-host Emmanuel has the latest and greatest edition of Sports Head Radio. But with Ron and Joey both out this weekend due to last-minute plans, I decided to pivot and do a different strategy, and that is to have the Stanley Cup Playoffs tonight, NBA tomorrow, and then we will go from there. And then we'll do the NFL next week whenever William and Joey are available. Maybe Ron, maybe Emmanuel. I'll figure that out next Monday. I'm not going to figure that out right now. But let's dive into the matchups here. I'm going to start with Ottawa, Carolina. And Carolina, best record in the Eastern Conference. They have home ice throughout the Eastern Conference. They will have home ice in the Stanley Cup unless they play Colorado, assuming they win the Eastern Conference. For some reason, Emmanuel, my gut is telling me to pick the Ottawa Senators in the upset. The only defenseman on Carolina I like is Jacob Slavin. I know Ottawa's in the bottom four in penalty killing, but I sent you Ottawa's lineup earlier this afternoon, their defensive pairings, and they have more blocked shots than Carolina, 1,100 to 928. They have more hits than Carolina, too. So if Linus Ullmark steps up to the plate at goalie for Ottawa and they limit the penalties, they can steal this series. I mean, Ottawa, they're not a team that I think can get to the Cup yet, but they have enough pieces to where they can maybe steal this series. Maybe they get to the Eastern Conference Finals if they play Philadelphia, but that feels like a best-case scenario right now, and even if they got that far, I don't think they would beat Montreal, Buffalo, or Tampa if they got that far. Just too young of a team. They're still going through growing pains. And the best player on both teams, 83 points, is Tim Stutzla, 2020 first-round pick drafted third overall. Jake Sanderson, healthy. He was drafted fifth overall in 2020 as well. And you got Brady Tkachuk at captain. He was great for Team USA in the Olympics this year. So I like Ottawa, as bold as that sounds. I think they're deeper defensively. They've got three good pairings, whereas Carolina's dependent on Slavin. But Carolina's got three to four really good center lines. And that depth at center is why the Carolina Hurricanes are dangerous. And Jordan Stahl's still the captain, so the Hurricanes could very easily win this series. And if they draw the Flyers instead of the Penguins, more than likely they will be hosting the Eastern Conference Finals, and they will not have to worry about Florida, with Florida missing the playoffs this year. So can this Hurricanes team get over the hump?
I'm gonna disagree. I think the Hurricanes will get over the hump in this first round, but I agree with you in terms of the Senators will give the Hurricanes a challenge in regards with that. But I got the Hurricanes in probably 6 games.
We both have 6 games. We just have opposite teams, and that's fair. We disagree on the outcome, but we agree on the total number of games in the series. I will take that. I have 0 complaints there. Minnesota and Dallas. If Minnesota had really good first-line centers, I probably would pick the Wild to win this series in 6 games. And for everyone saying, oh, the Stars announcer saying they're going to sweep the Wild. My friend Brian says it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. He writes for Blackout Dallas over at Fanside, and Brian Sweet. He's saying it's going to be a gentleman's sweep. Minnesota didn't have Quinn Hughes when they had a gentleman's sweep over Minnesota in 2023. Vancouver did. And Hughes is a guy you have to account for at all times. And you have Hughes and Faber on that top line. So that top line is going to be tough to score on. Even with a pairing as good as Rantanen, Wyatt Johnson, and Jason Robertson. Robertson and Wyatt both have 45 goals. Mikko was 0 last year. Even with a forward that line that's strong, a defensive pairing of Hughes and Faber is going to be tough to score on. So I think This is going to go 6 games. I am taking the Stars. I am taking my Stars to win because I thought Minnesota's best center was Marco Rossi, and they traded him. And I like Charlie Stramel. I think if he comes up and has some success and Eriksson Ek builds on his 51-point season, the Wild will have the pieces in 2 or 3 years to beat the Stars. But right now, even with Tyler Seguin tearing his ACL, Maverick Bork's putting together a career year at right winger, 2020 first-round pick, Harley and Heiskanen's expected to be back. You've got Nils Lundqvist healthy. You've got Liam Bixel healthy. Esa Lindell's healthy. Ilya Lyubushkin's healthy. So Tyler Myers is healthy. You got him at the trade deadline. And Kyle Capo being, the Stars have 8 quality defenders, even with injuries. And while Heiskanen's questionable for Game 1, I believe he's going to play. I think Rupe Hintz is not going to play until Game 3 at the earliest. I think the only way the Wild can win this series is if they go up 2-0 and they have 3 chances to win 2 home games in front of their crowd. I think that's the only way the Wild can win this series. I like Dallas in 6, though. It's not going to be as easy as it was in 2023 or in 2020 when we played the Wild in the opening round of the playoffs. It's not going to be that easy this time around. It's going to be more challenging. It's going to be more work. But I think the Stars come through in 6.
I got Dallas in 5.
Interesting.
I got Dallas in 5. To be honest with you, I like what Dallas is doing right now. So I have them in 5 games, heading into the series against the Wild.
Yeah, and Gustafsson's going to have to play out of his mind at goalie for the Wild to win this series because both goalies, Gustafsson and Ottinger, tied for the 5th most shutouts in the NHL with 4. And they're the only 2 goalies in the top 5 in shutouts that made the playoffs this year. So Gustafsson's going to have to get some shutouts in order for Minnesota to win this series. And I just don't think he can do that with the manpower the Dallas Stars have this year. If the Wild had a really good first-line center like Edmonton has, like Colorado has, like Utah has, I think they could steal this series. The problem is they don't, and that's why the Stars are still going to prevail. That's literally the difference.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening.
Yeah. All right. So we both got the Stars. Flyers, Penguins, I think is the toughest series to pick in this first round. I've got Penguins in 7. Hockey Guy, the famous YouTuber, has the Flyers in 7, but it's going to go 7 games, I think. The Flyers have the younger team and the more experienced coach. But the Penguins still have those star core players, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Erik Karlsson, former Norris Trophy defenseman. They got Samuel Girard, Colorado's 3rd best defender at the trade deadline for Kulak and a 2nd-round pick. And Girard's like 25, 26. Kulak's 32. I don't understand trading Girard and a 2nd-round pick to get Kulak. That is just a very questionable trade by Colorado, because if you had kept Girard, you have 5 quality defenders on that Avalanche team, maybe. And if you can get Kulak without trading Girard, stay under the cap, you've got 6 defenders. And in that situation, I probably do pick you over Dallas. But, I think as far as the Penguins go, I think the decision to trade for Girard was a good one. And I think the rookies, Mitch Cobb, who's in year 2, Porter Martone, who's a 2025 first-round pick, and Benjamin Kindell, 11th overall pick in the 25 draft. I think those 3 young guys are going to be the X factors in the series. Martone, Mitch Cobb, and Kindell. Whichever one of those 3 steps up, that's ultimately going to determine who wins this series. And I like the Penguins in 7 because I think you look at the line combinations for the Penguins, they look like a team that's 4 deep at center, 6 deep at defenseman, like when they won their cups back in the day. I don't think the goaltending's as strong. And if the Penguins fail to win the cup, that is ultimately why they will falter as these playoffs progress, Emmanuel. But I'm going to take the Penguins in 7 games.
I actually agree with you on that. The Flyers are actually coming in with a lot of momentum, as I've recently seen.
They're hot,
with them.
And they've got the more experienced coach.
Yeah, the Flyers. Yeah, that's the one thing that makes it intriguing with the Flyers. They'll definitely make this competitive, but I definitely do agree with you. I got Penguins in 7.
And it's going to be a fun series, back and forth, back and forth. But even though the Flyers do have better centers, I just think they don't have anything that can rival what Malkin and Crosby bring to the table. And ultimately, that's probably the difference at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
All right. We don't know the order of the Sunday games yet. We know that Monday is going to be Edmonton, Anaheim, so we'll save that game for last. So I'm going to pitch Emmanuel the 4 games, and he can pick the one he likes the best. We've got LA Kings, Colorado. That's the first game on Sunday. We've got Vegas and Utah. That's also on Sunday. Buffalo and Boston is on Sunday. And Tampa Bay, Montreal is on Sunday. So I'm going to let you pick the order we go in for those Sunday games.
Let's go with Avs and Kings.
Yeah, Anze Kopitar's swan song. I am
Yep.
taking the Avs in 6 games. I think the Kings are going to win a couple of games in this series because you still have Doughty and Kopitar, those 2 core draft picks. You got Kopitar in 05, the Crosby draft. You got Doughty second in 08. I think the Kings win 2 games against Colorado, but they lose in 6. I just think the Avs are a more complete team right now, and I would love nothing more than for Kopitar to go out with a bang like Ray Lewis in his final season of the Ravens and knock the Avs out of the playoffs. I would love nothing more than to see the Kings do that. They did win a Stanley Cup as an 8th seed in 2012, but this team's just not as complete as that team. As much as I'd love to see that, it's not in the cards for the Kings. But I will be generous. Logic says Avs in 5. I will go Kings in 6. I will be generous to Emmanuel's LA Kings, and I will give them 2 games over Colorado, even though that's probably against my better judgment.
I agree. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go with the Avs in 6, man. I think they're a pretty deep team. I would love to see the Kings make a run. You know, like you said, um, heading into the playoffs and hopefully, battle for the Stanley Cup. But it's just a lot of transition going on with that franchise. In regards to the farm team and with the team, you can tell they're trying to get younger. With the team and everything, they're trying to develop their prospects, it obviously takes time. But I like where Colorado is right now. They're kind of the perennial favorite heading into the NHL playoffs to win the cup.
Yeah.
And I Colorado in 6.
And they've got 8 of their 20 players from their 22 team back. Nate McKinnon and Nazem Kadri are the 2 centers that are back. They've got Gabriel Landeskog, Valerie Nichushkin, and Arturi Likonen all healthy at winger. And then they've got Cale Makar, Josh Manson, and Devin Taves. 3 of their top 4 defensemen from that 22 team. And while Gerard's gone, they added Kulak, and they've added Brent Burns, who was a number 2 on Carolina last year, with Slavin at age 40. And he's 41 now. So the Avs are really stacked to the point to where they've earned the right to be the favorite. Do I think they're as complete of a team as they were in 2021 or 2022? No, I don't. But they have 18 of the 20 pieces you need to win a Stanley Cup. That's still 90%. That means they have a 90% probability. And realistically, I mean, looking at the field, I think Dallas is probably the only team that could knock out Colorado. I mean, in the East, you've got maybe Buffalo, maybe Carolina, but you got Dallas, you got Carolina, you got Buffalo, maybe Montreal, but I just don't trust the 2 rookie goalies. Even though the Canadians have a very good defense and great depth at forward, I don't know if I would trust 2 rookie goalies like Jakub Dobes and Jacob Fowler in a 7-game series against Colorado. I think really when you look at it, you got Buffalo, you got Pittsburgh, you got Carolina, maybe Montreal, and maybe Dallas. Those are the 5 teams that I think have the best chance of knocking out Colorado. And if none of those 5 teams do it, the Avs are going to be Cup champions this year. It's that simple, Emmanuel.
Yeah. No, I don't. Absolutely. Now, let's say the second matchup. We already did Stars and Wild. We already did. Okay. Let's go with the Golden Knights and the Mammoth.
Yeah, we'll get this game out of the way. I know Vegas is the more experienced team, but I like the Mammoth in 6 games to pull the upset. I do think the Golden Knights are going to win 2 of their 3 home games at T-Mobile Arena in front of their home crowd. But the Mammoth are a young, upcoming, energetic team. They've got Clayton Keller at winger. They've got Logan Cooley and Barrett Hayton, and they've got a good team. I love what Bill Armstrong has done in the NHL draft. The former Blues assistant GM who came to the Arizona Coyotes and turned that team around with his drafts. I love what the Mammoth have. The Golden Knights do have a great power play. Mark Stone's back from his injury, but when Alex Pietrangelo suffered an injury in last year's playoffs, I figured that's it. That's the Golden Knights Cup window. It's over. Like, best case scenario, you get back to the conference finals, but you lose to Colorado or Dallas if you're Vegas. More than likely Colorado, but if you play Dallas, you have a chance, but I think the Stars will win in 6 over Vegas. I don't know. It's hard to say right now. But I'm leaning Utah. I mean, Utah's a young team. So if they lose, no sweat. You get Caleb Desnoyers next year, and you got those players ready to go for the playoffs, you know? You got Logan Cooley. You've got Barrett Hayton. Barrett Hayton's dealing with an injury right now. You got Dylan Gunther, who's day-to-day. But I think the Mammoth are going to be I think the Mammoth are one of these teams that they could surprise some people. They could surprise some people when the playoffs start. I really believe that because I look at what they have. They have Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Lawson Krause, but you have Logan Cooley. You got Dylan Gunther was my number 2 player in the 2021 NHL draft behind Owen Power, and the Sabres got Owen Power at number 1, but Gunther fell to the Coyotes at 9. I had him as my number 2 player in that draft. There's a reason he got an 8-year extension a few seasons ago. They brought in Kyler Yamamoto on a 1-year deal. He was Edmonton's first-round pick in 2017. Mackenzie Weegar and Mikhail Sergachev, who was a big defenseman on the Tampa Bay Lightning's 2 Stanley Cup teams, are the Utah Mammoth's top 2 defensemen. They have John Marino with 2 years left on his contract. Nate Schmidt, I believe, is on this team. And then they've got D. Simone and Ian Cole, former Penguins number 6 defensemen during their 2016 and 2017 Cup teams. But right now, Sean Durzi is dealing with injuries. Gunther, I think they're resting these guys for the playoffs, but ultimately, if all of these guys are out versus Vegas, Golden Knights will win in 6. If these guys are healthy, I think Utah can win the series in 6. But it's that uncertainty which probably has Emmanuel taking the Golden Knights in 6. Because
I got Golden Knights in 7.
Oh, okay. Because you agree with me that without that true number 1 defenseman, Vegas is more vulnerable. But at the same time, the injuries with Utah and the experience Vegas has, it's just too much. But that would be cool.
Yeah.
John Tortorella, I remember Tortorella, he held the Lightning to the 2004 Stanley Cup before the lockout. The only reason I bring that up is the Golden Knights fired Bruce Cassidy before the end of the season, and they made Tortorella the interim head coach.
Yeah, I believe Tortorella is he's undefeated in 1 tie ever since he's took the coaching job for VGK.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the exact numbers here. He lost in round 1 he actually beat he actually swept the Lightning the year they won the President's Trophy back in 2018-2019 when Tortorella had Bobrovsky as his goalie. He actually swept the Lightning that year. Swept his former team out of the playoffs. But other than that, losing round 1, and then he failed with the Flyers, and it looks like he's back on his feet in Vegas. But Tortorella's got to win this series if he wants to be more than just the interim head coach for this season. And Utah, if they win this series, great. There's going to be much bigger expectations. But if they lose this series, they're still going to be a playoff team next year. And the goal will be just to get into the second round and take that next step, or to get into the top 3 of the division. As long as they do one of those things and show improvement, I think Utah Mammoth fans are going to be happy with the team's current state.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But I just got VGK in 7 games and to play against Oh yeah, we haven't gone to that breakdown yet, so I don't want to jump
I mean,
ahead.
they've got Jack Eichel, they've got Mark Stone, Pavel Dorofeyev, 2019 third-round pick, has emerged as the first-line left winger, and Dorofeyev looks like the first player the Golden Knights have gotten in the NHL draft that's made a significant contribution, Emmanuel. I mean, they got good players in the expansion draft, like Mark Stone. They traded for Jack Eichel. They traded for Alex Pietrangelo. They've made some blockbuster trades over the years. They traded Nick Suzuki to Montreal to get Montreal's best left winger before he got injured, Max Pacioretty. They've made those splashes over the years. The Golden Knights have. Noah Hannafin, not as big of a splash as Eichel, but Vegas, they've shown that they're not afraid to mortgage draft capital to make a big splash. And Pavel Dorofeyev, 2019 third-round pick's the one good player, the one draft pick they hit on in their 6-7 year tenure as an expansion team at left winger on the top line. That's the only pick they got in the actual NHL draft that they developed and succeeded with. So, you know, once Mark Stone gets older, it's going to be harder to keep this core together unless you want to keep giving up draft capital until Eichel retires. The Golden Knights are going to have to rebuild at a certain point, but I don't think they're quite there yet. And as long as Eichel's extended, I think Eichel did get extended in the summer or fall. So we got 2 Eastern games left: Boston, Buffalo, or Tampa Bay and Montreal.
Boston and Buffalo. Let's do that one.
Yeah, let's do Boston, Buffalo. Honestly, as great as the Bruins are, I don't know. The Bruins, I'm not sure if I could pick the Bruins or the Sabres. I feel like the Bruins could steal this series, but that's only because heading into the preseason, the Sabres didn't have a good first-line center. If they moved their right winger back to center where he played the last few years, then I do think there's a chance. Pasternak has 100 points with the Bruins this year. Only player to get 100 points is Pasternak. Morgan Geekie at 68 points on the top line. Pavel Zacha, their line 2 centers, at 65 points. You have McAvoy at 61, your number 1 defenseman. So those 4 core players. James Higgins did make his NHL debut. He's currently a line 2 set left winger. Not a lot of experience yet. Played center at Boston U this year, but he did make the jump to the NHL for this playoff stretch. And the Sabres only have 1 good center, but they do have really good goaltending this year. It really doesn't seem to matter who they have. Tage Thompson converted back to center, posted 81 points, and they've got 2 number 1 picks, Rasmus Dahlin, their captain, and Owen Power on the blue line. I mean, Buffalo, but 2018 was a big year for Buffalo. Rasmus Dahlin and Josh Allen, Emmanuel. I mean, big year for Buffalo in 2018, but this is the Sabres' first crack at a playoff spot. They do have home ice in the first 2 rounds. They've been the best home team in the league this year. Give me the Sabres in 7. I think the Bruins have the talent to knock out Buffalo, but I just think the Sabres' home ice and their hunger to take that next step is going to be the difference in a very close series. I'm going to go Sabres in 7 against my better judgment, but
Yeah, to be honest with you, I would love to see Bruins Canadians in the next round. To be honest with you, based on the bracket, but in regard to this series, I have to agree with you. I got Sabres in 6 games.
yeah. And I just think the Sabres, their goaltending's been better than Boston this year.
Yeah,
The defense just really
agreed.
good. I mean, they pushed the Stars to their limit. The Stars were the first team to beat. It took Buffalo 82 games to lose in a penalty shootout. And the Stars barely beat them in the penalty shootout. So, I mean, I like the Sabres in 6, but, you know, Boston can steal this series if they show up. But I just think Buffalo, they got to do this. I mean, they have not won a playoff series since 2006, 2007. It's been nearly 20 years since the Sabres won a playoff series. That's the worst drought in sports right now, with the Cubs winning their World Series over Cleveland, and with the Jets. The Jets have not made the playoffs since 2010, 2011, but they got to the AFC Championship. Right now, that Sabres drought, that's the worst sports drought, not just in New York, but in all of professional sports. I think the Sabres, for their sake, they know they have to end that. They don't expect to go to the Cup, but I think they know they at least have to win a series to give this fan base some optimism moving forward. And I think they will.
Yeah, agreed.
Tampa Bay and Montreal, this is a tough series to pick because Tampa Bay is the more experienced team, but their third line defensive pairing is awful, and Montreal is a very deep team. But they have two rookie goalies. They have Jakub Dobes, 2020 5th-round pick, and Jacob Fowler, 2023 third-round pick, former Youngstown Phantoms Boston College goalie I've been telling Emmanuel about. He's the backup, but it's like, I do think Montreal can. I'm taking Montreal in 7 because they didn't have the goaltending to take that leap against the Capitals last year. I'm taking Montreal in 7, but it's like they could lose in 7 too. It doesn't feel like a high-pressure situation for Montreal either way, whereas with Tampa, if they lose this because they don't have those final pieces on the team, it's going to be seen as a massive letdown for their fan base, given that they had the third best record in the entire conference behind Buffalo and Carolina, I believe.
Yeah. I got Lightning in 7. I got the opposite.
I think we agree it's going to go 7 games. Even though we disagree on the outcome, we agree on the number of games. That should tell you how much better Montreal's gotten. And I get it. Rookies go through growing pains. Montreal's got 2 rookie goalies. They will be a dark horse to make a Stanley Cup in a year or two. They're not there yet. Those goalies are still going to have to go through playoff growing pains because playoff growing pains differ from regular season growing pains. They do. So, and Montreal's going to learn that the hard way. So,
yeah.
All right. So, who do I have in my conference finals? I'll start in the East.
Well, I think we skipped.
Thank you for correcting me. We skipped Anaheim, Edmonton. I'm going to take the Oilers in 7, but Anaheim has a Stanley Cup winning head coach, Joel Quenneville. And the Ducks have really come together. Leo Carlson, their center depth is incredible. They have some good defenders, and Lucas Dostal surprised me this year. And Edmonton has Tristan Jarry now, the former Penguins goalie, thanks to Stuart Skinner trade. But they're rotating between Shelovs and Skinner. I don't know if either goalie's the answer for the Penguins long term, but I like Oilers in 7. If Leon Draisaitl was not coming back from his season-ending injury, an injury that kept him out of the regular season, but he'll be back for the playoffs, I'd probably go Ducks in 7 because of Quenneville. I'm going to go Oilers in 7.
I got Oilers in 6 games.
Yeah, because Oilers just have that experience. And that's not a knock on the Ducks. They're just a young team. They're still
they're still
young, and they were in the driver's seat to win this division in April. They should be proud of themselves for that, but they're just not in the same class as Edmonton, Utah, or even Vegas, in my opinion. So, and that experience, I think if they hadn't traded Gibson to the Red Wings, I might have picked them over Edmonton, but that decision is ultimately why the Oilers win the series. And I'm going Oilers in 7. Emmanuel's going Oilers in 6. All right. So my round 2 matchups are Colorado, Dallas, Utah, Edmonton, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, and Montreal, Buffalo. So we don't have a matchup we agree on in the East. We have Colorado, Dallas. I think that's the only common ground our brackets have, Emmanuel. And then you've got Vegas, Edmonton, Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo, Tampa. So the only matchup we agree on for round 2 is Colorado, Dallas. And Colorado's got like $13 million on Polymarket. There's $13 million on Polymarket for Colorado to win the Cup. The team with the next most money on them is the Minnesota Wild, $8 million. The LA Kings have the third most money bet on them, $4 million. The Buffalo Sabres, $2.4 million, and then the Lightning are $2 million. And then there's I think the Penguins, the Hurricanes, and the Golden Knights all have more money on them to win this year's Stanley Cup than the Dallas Stars. The Stars rank 9th out of 16 teams in money bet on to win the Stanley Cup, and Polymarket has them 5th in Western Conference odds behind Colorado, Edmonton, and Vegas. They have the 4th best odds to win the conference, but the 9th best odds in terms of money bet. So not a lot of people bet on Dallas this year because of the injuries. So if Vegas wants to get money for the sports books, having Dallas upset Colorado is a great way to make sure the sports books regain their assets. But I think the best team's going to win this series, regardless of what happens. I'm going with Stars in 7. I just think with all the depth the Stars have, this is going to go 7 games either way. But the only team that beat Colorado at Ball Arena twice this season was the Dallas Stars. And they are healthier than they were a year ago when they beat this team without Jason Robertson, without Miro Heiskanen. Miro should play on Saturday. Robertson's healthy this time around, so you're going to have to game plan for both Robertson and Rantanen. That is going to be tough. And Martin Necas got 100 points for the first time in his career as a member of the Avalanche this season. And last year, Necas was adjusting to that first-line right-winger role. This year, he's outperformed Rantanen to a degree, but Rantanen got injured in the Olympics and missed a few months. That's why he's still settling back in. But I think it's going to go 7 either way. I think you're going Avs in 7, but I think the Stars are logistically, they look like the only team that can take Colorado to 7 right now. I'm not saying other teams can't, but your other options are Carolina, Pittsburgh, maybe Pittsburgh, Carolina, maybe Edmonton, but that's not. That doesn't exude a lot of confidence. The Oilers feel like they're weaker at goalie versus the last 2 years. I'm taking Stars in 7, but I could very easily see the Avs winning this series because of how dominant they've been in the regular season. Scott Wedgwood, former backup to Jake Ottinger, now on the Avalanche. The Avs gave up a 5th-round pick for Wedgwood last year to Nashville, and Nashville sent the backup goalie to Colorado. And that worked out very well for the Avalanche because they got a new starting goalie to push Blackwood. But the thing is,
Right.
Jake Ottinger is 5th in the NHL in shutouts. .899 save percentage, but he's 5th in shutouts. If he can limit the goals and play out of his mind, the Stars can steal this series. Dallas had 1 2-goal game against Colorado in the second game of the year when second game of the year when Roope Hintz got injured, and Colorado had a 2-goal lead, but it came due to McKinnon scoring after an icing call was not called by the refs in the 2-0 win on ABC. But this is a tough series to pick. It honestly feels like a coin flip, and the biggest reason I'm taking the Stars in 7 is because 2-0 in Colorado this year, and I feel like not just that. I feel like the Avalanche, as good as they are, they have 18 out of 20 quality starters versus 20, but Golitzin lost to Bednar when he coached against him in the 2019 Cup Playoffs. And goalie at home field with that Calgary Flames team, but that was Cale Makar's rookie year. Makar and McKinnon are a lot more experienced since 2019. But I also think Colorado is dependent on Makar, Necas, Landeskog, Taves, and Makar, that top line for points. So if you shut down Colorado's top line, which is the best top line in the league, you can beat them this year. But it's going to take that type of effort to shut down their top line to knock them out. And personnel-wise, I feel like Dallas has the best chance to do that. And if they don't, we're probably looking at the Avs maybe being the first President's Trophy winner since Chicago to win the Cup. I don't know, but I'm going to take Dallas in 7. If Colorado can beat Dallas, they will have earned the right to be equals, but it's like they haven't beaten Dallas under McKinnon yet, and history says the Stars should win in 7. But this is you got Avs.
I got Avs. I got Avs in 7.
Okay, I figured this is going to go 7 because Colorado had home ice versus Dallas in 2020. That doesn't count. That was the COVID bubble. And Kivi Ranta's on Colorado now. So Kivi Ranta, I don't know if he's playing for Colorado this year, but if he is, if Kivi Ranta's healthy enough to play for Colorado and he's the 4th-line left winger, then I think you can, because I think 4th-line left winger and number 6 defenseman are the 2 weaknesses. But if Kivi Ranta plays, he's participating in practice. He just hasn't played all year. If Kivi Ranta plays, I think Colorado has the forwards to take Dallas to 7. It just comes down to outscoring them in 4 out of 7 games. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. No, I got Colorado in 7 against the
Gibby
Stars.
Rance is practicing. He hasn't played much this year, but he is practicing with the team. So if they activate him the way they activated Landeskog in the first round last year, that's a type of thing that could tilt the momentum. Because Gibby Ranta, he scored the game winner to knock out Colorado in the COVID bubble. He was on Dallas in 2020. He's on Colorado now. That type of move could swing the momentum in Colorado's favor. If he comes back, that is a move that could swing the momentum in their favor. I think whoever wins that game, we will agree on this much. Whoever wins that game is probably coming out of the Western Conference as the champion. Whether it's
Yeah, I agree.
because I as good as Utah is, I've got Utah in 6 over Edmonton. But as good as Utah is, if they get to the conference finals, they're gonna lose in like 4 or 5 games to Dallas or Colorado, even if they find a way to get to the conference finals. And Edmonton. I think Edmonton could win 6 against Colorado. They could push Dallas to 7. But I just think the loss of Skinner, I think Jari's going to lay an egg at some point in the playoffs. That is why I'm taking Utah in 6. But regardless, you want to talk about who you got playing Colorado in the conference finals? The Oilers again or the Golden Knights?
Uh, I got the Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, 2-time Western
It,
Conference
it, it,
champions.
it, it, it's pretty tough between Oilers and VGK. I have that going 7 games. I have the Oilers in 7.
Yeah, because Oilers.
I think Connor McDavid's gonna show out in that series.
Yeah,
My
Zach
opinion.
Hyman should be back for the playoffs. He may not be back until the divisional round because he did tear his Achilles thanks to Mason Marchment in last year's conference finals. But I do think he's going to return at some point in the playoffs. And if Zach Hyman does return, Edmonton's got their first line right winger back. If he doesn't, Oilers might be in a little bit of trouble because I can't see them getting to the cup unless he comes back. They are going to need him if they want to get to a 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup Finals. That's just the reality. And then in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh over Ottawa in 6 games. As much as I like Ottawa to upset Carolina, they just don't have the experience or the star power to go toe-to-toe with a team like Pittsburgh. And then Buffalo versus Montreal. As much as I want to pick the Canadiens to go on a cup run, logic says that Buffalo would beat Montreal in 6 games. So I'm going to take Buffalo over Montreal in 6, Pittsburgh over Ottawa in 6. And that means I've got a Pittsburgh-Buffalo Eastern Conference Finals. Who do you got making the conference finals, Emmanuel?
I think I got I got Carolina versus the Penguins, right? That's
Yeah. Those are the top 2 Metro.
I got Carolina in 7.
Stahl versus Crosby and Malkin. I think Stahl and Malkin and have the Hurricanes beaten the Penguins in the playoffs. I think they met once in the 2017 or 2016 Eastern Conference final? No, 2016 the Lightning beat the Lightning played the Penguins for the East. 2017 was the Hurricanes though. So the Hurricanes did make the 2017. I feel like these 2, but Jordan Stahl. I'm not even sure if Jordan Stahl has played Crosby and Malkin in the playoffs. But Jordan Stahl was drafted by the Penguins. He spent the early part of. I'm looking up Hurricanes Penguins playoff history. The Penguins hold a 4-0 record against the Hurricanes. And the Penguins have never lost to the Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes-Penguins only meeting was in 2009 when Stahl was on the Penguins. So Jordan Stahl, he beats Crosby and Malkin in your bracket. Who else? Who's their opponent? Is it Tampa or is it Buffalo?
So I got Lightning beating the Canadiens, and I got Buffalo playing Tampa.
Buffalo has home ice. That
Um,
makes it tougher to pick this winner of this series, I think. If Tampa had home
right.
ice, you'd probably go Tampa, Carolina due to Tampa's experience, but Buffalo's got the home ice for this
I got,
series. That makes it tougher.
right. I got Buffalo in 7. I think Lightning is definitely going to be a challenge.
They,
My
they
personal
will.
opinion, but I got Buffalo and Carolina playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, and uh, I as much as I like the Hurricanes, for some reason I have a gut feeling that Buffalo's gonna go to the Stanley Cup and
Buffalo,
win the
Lindy
East.
Ruff, he coached Buffalo to the 99 Stanley Cup Finals. Um, I think Lindy Ruff can get the Sabres back to the Stanley Cup. I am taking Pens in 7, but I would not be surprised if Buffalo won this in 7. This is a literal coin flip for me. And on paper, the Sabres have the better goalie, but they don't have a dominant first line center where the Penguins have like 3 or 4 dominant centers. And ultimately, that's why I'm taking the Pens in 7. And I'm going with the Stars in 5 versus the Mammoth. Mammoth getting the conference finals. It's a great run, but I just don't know if they've got the experience to hang with Dallas for 7 games. So that leads me to my Cup final, Pittsburgh-Dallas. I've got Dallas winning in 6 games over the Penguins, and Jake Ottinger lifting the Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh. 25 years after the Penguins beat the North Stars in 5 games, the Dallas Stars get their revenge on the Penguins 25 years later in 2026.
I got Buffalo, uh,
Colorado.
Buffalo, Colorado. I got Colorado in
Yeah.
6 to win the Cup.
I would love to see Buffalo beat Colorado, but it's just they're not. This Sabres team, they have a great blue line, but their goaltending and offense is not on par with the 99 Sabres. I mean, the Sabres in 99, they had Hasek, and they had Michael Pekka. Michael Pekka was like 5'8", but he was a great center, had a lot of points. He played with a ton of heart, Emmanuel. It's like you couldn't help but admire the way he played, even if you're a Stars fan. You had to admire what Pekka did for the Sabres, getting them to the Cup Finals as a 7 seed in 1999. And I think the Knicks got to the NBA Finals as an 8 seed in 99 as well, and they lost the team from Texas, the Spurs, who won their first championship with Popovich. So,
yeah, I can definitely see
99 was a crazy sports year, though, because you had the Falcons beating the Vikings, you had the Sabres, and then you had the Knicks, all in the championship games. None of them won, but they all got there. So you got to tip your hat.
that. True.
So I've got Stars over Penguins. I saw the ABC clip. The last 3 teams they showed in the ABC Stanley Cup Playoffs clip this year were the Penguins, the Mammoth, and the Stars. I don't know if that's subliminal messaging. I don't think it is, but my gut is telling me to pick those teams to go the furthest. And Buffalo, I think Buffalo, if it's not Pittsburgh playing Dallas, I think it's going to be Buffalo. Because Buffalo would get a rematch with Dallas 27 years after the Stars got their only cup. But I do think if Buffalo plays Dallas, that'll go to 7. I think if Dallas plays Pittsburgh, I like Stars in 6. If Dallas plays Buffalo, I like Stars in 7. I think the Sabres would push Dallas to a Game 7, but I think the Stars would win with home ice at the end of the day. But it sounds like you're going Avs over Buffalo. If the Stars get out of the West, I'm guessing you go Stars over Sabres in 7, but that's a tough one.
Yeah. I think me personally is either the Cavs, excuse me, the Avs or the Stars will probably win the Cup. My personal
Those
opinion,
are the 2 best
but
teams. I know everyone's saying Carolina is de facto number 2, but Colorado and Dallas have been very even with each other for most of the season.
yeah,
So I think whoever comes out of that series is probably going to win the Cup. But yeah, that'll do it for our NHL predictions. I've got some other sports topics with Emmanuel that I am going to discuss on his we'll discuss on TikTok a little bit later if he does a TikTok tonight. And I got to start the 4th round of the draft. We'll recap what happened in the NBA play-in rounds tomorrow and break down some of the games tomorrow, and we'll make it a quicker, more condensed version. But yeah, I'll do some research on some NBA games for the playoffs tomorrow. But
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty busy tomorrow for hockey. a couple
We
of
already broke
minor
down
league
hockey,
hockey.
and if you can't break down the NBA, I might just pull up some stats, some analytics, some numbers, because I feel like we already broke down the NBA on Sports Head Radio. So if you're busy tomorrow, I don't really think that's the end of the world. It would just be me going
Yeah,
solo, breaking down what could happen in these matchups.
right. I mean, like I said, I think what Sundays probably be my only open time.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's
Playoff
just I'm
starting
doing back to
Saturday,
back.
so if I do an NBA playoff show for Draft Utopia, it's probably just going to be me tomorrow night.
Yeah, because I'm doing these are the last two games for the regular season for the rain.
Yeah.
So tomorrow and
Yeah, I
Saturday.
mean,
So then
you got to prioritize that. No, to me,
yeah,
you got to do that because it's how you pay your bills. It's got to take
yeah,
priority.
right. So that's what I got going on. So, but I'll keep you updated. But yeah, I'm gonna go live tonight. I'm probably in about like 10, 15 minutes to be honest with you.
All
So
right. So thanks for joining me,
I,
Emmanuel. You got our cup picks, and enjoy the playoffs for everyone listening at home.
yes, indeed.